Time now for our first installment of Inside Justice with Onondaga County District Attorney Bill Fitzpatrick, talking about some of the biggest issues in local law, something we're going to do every month. I guess it'll be the third week of every month. We'll keep you posted on exactly which day and which time you can catch it. But welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, you bet, Matt. Jackie, good to see you guys.
You coming in.
Thanks.
Everyone has so many questions.
Oh, well, we got them on Facebook. We're going to get to some of that too. But let's start out with the Bernie Fine case. Certainly when we last saw you in public before the cameras, December 7th, I think it was, you said that there were two victims and the next two, maybe not. And tell us, a lot has developed with the Van Hooser case in particular since that time.
Right, and the important thing is that everything I said since December 7th has been verified. I didn't even acknowledge the validity of victim number 4, who has now been identified. I didn't identify him, but has now been identified as Floyd Van Hooser. This points out the problem that the chief of police decision resulted in. His decision was, DA's office is out of this. This is going to be my investigation. I'm going to personally supervise it. Had he contacted us, we would have alerted him to the lack of credibility that Floyd Van Hooser had, the information that I have and still have in my file regarding what he has said in the past about Bernie Fine. And I remind people that I had an obligation to share that not only with the U.S. Attorney's Office, but with defense counsel as well, which I did. And I think that in a very short period of time, we're gonna learn a little bit more about Mr. Tomaselli, who has been colloquially referred to as victim number 3.
Can you say more about it than what you said at the news conference that day?
What I said, Jackie, just to refresh everybody's memory, is that we turned over exculpatory material to the defense. That consisted of travel records for Syracuse University. If you remember, Mr. Tomaselli first said that the abuse happened in Connecticut. Then when it was pointed out to him that there was no Connecticut-Syracuse game that year, either at Syracuse or in Connecticut, he then said, oh, that's right, it was Pittsburgh. And I took the bus, the Syracuse Athletic Department bus from Syracuse to Pittsburgh. Well, that can't be true, because the team flew to Tennessee 3 days earlier and then flew from Tennessee to Pittsburgh and then Pittsburgh to Syracuse. And the final thing is, was he at school? This was a Tuesday. He had originally told the Syracuse police officers, look, my parents would never let me go on a school day. Well, unbeknownst to him, he picked a game that happened on a Tuesday. So
day after Martin Luther King Day, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that eventually, at some point, at the discretion of the U.S. Attorney, is going to unravel, unless there's some information they have that they haven't shared with us.
You spoke a little bit about it, but are you and the police chief now working together? Are you able to share?
We have to work together, but the police chief, in my judgment, is so incredibly close-minded and petty about things. Do you know that I've got 6 or 7 former Syracuse police officers who are on my staff, and they've all been told, they have lockers over in the public safety building. They've all been told to vacate their lockers. When I held the press conference, pointing out, I mean, it's unbelievable how petty this has gotten. But I assure people, it's not going to affect public safety. And unfortunately, people say, wow, they should have breakfast or they should sit down. Look, this has been going on a long, long time.
It's not going to be resolved.
And there are many, many facets to this story. You know, when he gets out there and talks about murder suspect Craig Owens and tells you, the media, he's been arrested 30 times. Well, what's your reaction? Well, what the heck is wrong with the criminal justice system? The guy's been arrested 30 times. Why isn't he in jail? Well, the problem with that is, he hasn't been arrested 30 times. He's been arrested 7 times. And he's never even been arrested for a felony. And the last time he was arrested, we got him the maximum sentence. What's
your sense with the Bernie Fine case, just to kind of wrap that piece of it up, where this will go at the U.S. Attorney? Do you have an idea?
No, I don't. I don't. They have, as you well know, their comment has been no comment. We neither confirm nor deny. At some point, there has to be an accountability. If you went and got a search warrant based on Zach Tomaselli and Floyd Van Hooser, people have a right to know that, and people have to be accountable to that. I suspect that there was much more to the search warrant than those 2 people. I certainly hope there was, but that's up to them, and they work at their own time.
And that search warrant could still be valid even if it was based on those statements, correct?
Oh, sure. If the person presenting the information believes them in good faith to be true and has done some research and has corroborated them and in good faith gives them to the judge, sure.
We want to get to a question here that's on our Facebook page tonight, and the question relates to whether it's Bernie Fine case or other sexual abuse cases. It's about this issue of statute of limitations. It's frustrating as the community sees not just this story but others when somebody's committed a crime 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and they can't be prosecuted. Would you like to see that changed, or is there a reason why it shouldn't be changed?
Let me give you both sides of the issue and tell you what my feeling is. My feeling is it should be extended, but it should not be unlimited. I mean, what would I do with a 55-year-old man who walks into my office tomorrow and says, I was abused by a clergyman when I was 12? How could I possibly prosecute that case? But when you have a situation like Bobby Davis, who comes in and I think has corroborating evidence, he is outside the statute of limitations, but yet I could prosecute that case. The problem is, of course, that the criminal justice matters are, bargained in the state legislature. We have a very unusual system here in the state of New York. It's very, very difficult. We tried to get the statute of limitations extended, and it took a long, long period of time. The State DA's Association, myself included, was very, very vocal in trying to get extended to now where it's 5 years after you turn or reach the age of 18. Otherwise, it's strictly 5 years.
So you don't think it should be the same from state to state, but...
I think it should be extended, Jackie, but I don't think it should be unlimited. I don't think there should be an unlimited in other words, no statute of limitations.
Right, not like murder.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Because it's just untenable. I mean, can you imagine the example I just gave, and then the public pressure? Why don't you do something about this? Well, the offender is 85 years old. He's in a nursing home, and he's not around children anymore.
Just unreasonable.
And it's literally the one word against another. There's no physical evidence. There's no crime scene. Those cases, how do I prove beyond a reasonable doubt?
We want to get to one more issue before we let you go for today,
okay.
and that is about animal cases in general. I know you get a strong response to them, in particular, whether it's Princess the dog that was well underweight or the dog that was dragged down Route 81. How do you prosecute those, and how does your office treat those cases?
We treat them very aggressively. I put a person who I have a great deal of affection for. She's one of my assistant DAs, and I look for a person who is an animal lover and extremely compassionate, but is also a hard person to deal with. So I picked Laura Fiorenza. She's been prosecuting them for the last decade. She's very, very aggressive. I mean, she's a fair person, but she's very, very aggressive. Couple of quick things. The penalties need to be increased. They need to be taken, the statutes need to be taken out of the ag and markets law and put in the penal law so that more police officers are more conversant with them. But if you organize, let's say if you steal someone's dog and you slaughter that dog by training another animal to kill, that could be a misdemeanor,
right?
Or maybe a felon, a lowest level felony.
Property, essentially, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean I'm not saying they should be life in prison or 25 years, but we should certainly treat people like that, because people like that, frankly, often commit other crimes against humans. They really have no regard for people.
Are you surprised that more evidence hasn't come, more tips, with the reward
for the dog down the 81?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I know the ASPCA and SPD are working very, very hard on that, and I have a pretty good feeling that we'll get to the bottom of it and solve it, but I don't want to make any false promises. But that's just terrible.
Okay. Bill Fitzpatrick, thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next month here on the Inside Justice segment.
Jackie,
it's a pleasure.
Jackie and Matt, good to see you guys. Thanks very much.
Time goes by quickly. We'll be back with more.
Okay.